Hey there, THL. Welcome to HearthCenter Week 8. We're excited to be here tonight talking about all things pro and the Legacy and Hero player power rankings. But first, I am Donde, and I am joined tonight by Icon. Icon, how's it going?
It's good, bro. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. Glad to be back after the week off. I apologize, I wasn't feeling so great last week, but good tonight. Lotus is also here. LotusKnight, how are you?
I'm doing well. Can't complain.
Good to hear, good to hear. So, as mentioned, we got quite a few things to talk about tonight, so we're going to keep the show moving, and hopefully, you guys are happy to have us back and fill that pro void that you had been missing. So we're going to start with that, of course. Talk about the week that was. Last week was week 7. Legacy and Hero are winding down to the playoffs, but Pro still has quite a few weeks left. It is a 11-week season, so still a ways out of the playoffs there. But let's take a look at what happened last week to start off, which you should see on your screen in a moment. There we go. So 6 matches, of course, as always. Lotus, why don't you take us through the Beard Boys versus Bad to the Bone? You there, Lotus? Lotus was having some computer issues prior to the show tonight, so he may have been a victim of one of those.
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you now.
Yeah, we can.
Yes, I'm just 1 second. Probably go with the second match first. I'm having some small computer issues.
All right, we'll bounce back to Beard Boys Bad to the Bone. Icon, why don't you take us through FTL versus Top Hatted Titans?
So FTL played THT recently. We had sort of a rough last-minute substitute due to Itachi getting really sick, and Top Hat Demon got his second win in the 5 seed with that. Other than that, Snake swept Icer 3-0. BZ beat Starlax 3-2. Bobson lost 2-3 to Lil Hearthy. Liquidox lost 2-3 to Silver T Fox, and it just ended up being a really close series overall, 12-14. We tried something where we all submitted the exact same 120 cards over and over and over, and it didn't really work because one of our Rabobson was late to submit, and so Liquidox was late to submit, and so Silver could just design the exact counter lineup for it and then submit it. So we we decided to not do that anymore. But we decided to mess around for a week, so it's all good. We'll see somebody in playoffs. It's not too much of a problem. And overall, THC, great win, man. They're climbing up in the rankings for sure. They're doing pretty well for themselves, so that's great to see.
Yeah, they're definitely still a competitor here in the last few weeks of Pro. And yeah, we've seen that strategy before, not necessarily with the open list format, but even in some of the Legacy and Hero teams have tried we're going to all submit the exact same classes. Usually only works when you all submit at the exact same time. But yeah, that's, I guess, something to be on the lookout for. Lotus, are you back up and running over there?
Yeah, I think I am.
All right, why don't you talk to us about Beard Boys and Bad to the Bone?
Beard Boys versus Bad to the Bone. So this was a tough match. Both teams are really strong. The difference was a single point. So it's just it's a really tight match. Zabe beating Avi 3-0 is not that Zabe won. Zabe is an amazing player. So is Avi. The surprise is just the fact that it was a 3-0.
Yeah, not to pick up the game
Myanodon beating Ego Waffle 3-1. And just a very weird match because there were a lot of super wide matches. But overall, I think the Beard Boys take it deservedly. They've been doing really well this season. And I wouldn't say Bad to the Bone is out yet. Very far from that.
All right, and the next game on the slate here was Aeon versus Taste the Rainbow. Aeon with a win, 20-4, pretty big, resounding win there. Every series was a win for Aeon. 3-2 for Ridiculous Hat, 3-1 for myself over Brick, 3-1 for Markshire over Inzi, and Typhoon and Coles both got sweeps over Skittles and Quirky Turtle. And yeah, pretty strong win. Felt good, and not much else to say about that. Just taking care of business. obviously trying to make sure that we have a playoff spot of our own secure, and I think that's a big step in the right direction for us as a team. So let's head on over to Tap Last versus the Unknown. That was the next match there. Lotus, I'll let you take that one.
Sure. Tap Last versus the Unknown, solid match. Just both players are trying to make sure they can guarantee they get to the playoffs. So far, this was actually very one-sided in the sense that Tap Last won 4 of them, and the one they lost, they only lost 2 of the matches, or they still got 2 of the points. They only lost 2 of the points. That being said, all the matches were super tight. Like there were a lot of 2-3s and 3-2s. So it's a very tight match, even if it doesn't seem like it. And it's awesome to see Tap Last doing well. They seem to be rebounding after a few rough weeks in the start.
Definitely. Let's see. Next up, Menagerie versus Defias Brotherhood. Icon.
Oh, I think Icon is muted.
Is he? Sorry, he didn't. I kind of didn't realize this. So I had I think I had the stream audio on and I didn't realize that was what was going on. So the Menagerie definitely boosted themselves in some points. Smork looking pretty good for them as well as Dabs. Those 2 bottom seeds definitely looking to be great pickups for them in the 4 and 5. And Defias Brotherhood still have not been able to get anything off the ground with about half the points of some of the teams like the Beard Boys, FTL, and Aeon. Definitely having kind of a rough season. Basting picking up a 3-0, 9 Eyebrows, Mata, and Debs, or 9 Eyebrows and Mata both picking up 3-1s, and then Smork sweeping for that. And it's just a question of at this point, like a lot of teams like being able to boost their sort of playoff status or scrape in at that 4th slot off of playing Defias Brotherhood. So definitely an interesting sort of a net effect of playing that team this season.
Absolutely. And Icon, I'll let you go ahead and take the last one as well.
Sure. So finally, we have the other guys versus Propane Gang. Propane Gang also having a bit of a rough start. I say start, but we are 7 weeks in at this point. At the time that we were reading this, and so other guys definitely sort of on the fringe of playoff contention. 3 and 4 not terrible, but definitely got to have some explosive weeks to get where you want to go. So Tony Montana with a great record, actually falling 1-3 to Craig of Canada. He's doing pretty well for himself. Dirty Mike sweeping Silent Red. Lefty still positive 3-1 over Donnie, and JR falling 2-3 to Mike V. And Darkside doing some Darkside things down there. So Propane Gang, you know, if you're them, all you can do is just talk to each other, you know, communicate, have the best time that you can, and you know, make it a learning experience. I suppose definitely try to take away a little bit from every match. So
yeah, I'll add that at this point, I would say pretty much all the teams but Propane Gang and Defias Brotherhood still have a chance of getting into that top 4. So really, for all teams but those, every single match matters, and it's going to be a super tight top 4.
I would agree with that at this point. You know, you like to think every team is going to be alive every week, but the reality of the matter is that unfortunately it's just not the case every time. Also, the reality of the matter is that we were not with you guys last week, and those were actually the scores from 2 weeks ago. So as you can see, we've updated to week 7 now. It was totally planned. This is exactly what we plan to do. So why don't we talk about the actual week 7 scores now real quick here, which one of the bigger matches, and you know, I was involved in this one myself, so you would think that I would have known that this is what happened last week, but Aeon got a win over the Beard Boys, the number 1 team in Pro, 13-12, in no thanks to me, as Myandon spanked me 3-0, so that's probably why I tried to forget that whole thing. But Ridiculous Hat continues his fantastic season, moving up to 6-1 with a win over Honest Abe. Markshire did fall to Hockey Boys. That was on stream. But Typhoon got Lesmos with a 3-2 win, and Coles with a big sweep over Boozosaurus to clinch the 13-12 win for Aeon. So that's a bit of a statement game for us there. Definitely taking on one of the stronger teams in Pro and coming out, even in a close victory, it was still a win. So that's definitely a good feeling there. Icon, why don't you tell us about the actual Week 7 FTL match versus Taste and Rainbow?
Sure. So FTL played a TTR recently. We have Snake still 6-1, sweeping your Mumked, who definitely was feeling it before the match. Brick obviously off to a really great start that he sort of had a rough start to his THL career and is like picking up some serious wins so far on TTR. The beating BZ 2-3 or 3-2 rather. Tachi fell 1-3 to Inzi, and then Robson and Liquid Ox finished it off in the 4 and the 5 to beat Skittles and Quirky Turtle. TTR definitely managed to put up points. You know, you can't be too sad about that if you're them. Like it's obviously better than like a 4-point week. You know, get a couple wins in there, but definitely still in playoff contention as well. And FTL is just trying to get Aeon off their back, honestly, because Aeon is good now for some reason. Apparently, replacing Mako for Typhoon is that's a little bit of a roster move for sure. So definitely trying to speed away from Aeon as fast as possible right now.
Yeah, no doubt Typhoon has been a fantastic addition to the team. As you can see, undefeated so far, and we'd like to keep that going. But yeah, we're trying to hold off the teams below us. Everyone's really tight there in that that top 3, and don't want to fall too far behind. Tap Last and Top Hat Titans is another game that happened last week. Lotus, I'll let you talk about that one.
Sure. So Tap Last is continuing to resist, it seems. They win against Top Hat Titans 17-10, and in this match there were a lot of 3-1, so much wider margin. They only lost, CMAC lost to Lil Harthy, who's just doing amazing, and 5-2 record is nothing to scoff about. Heat Shock beats Icer, Nerdstrom beats Starlax, Valdus beats Silver T Fox, and Bill Snyder beat Top Hat Demon. I think just a very solid showing for Tap Last, making sure they're still in the game. And Top Hat Titan's not out yet, but it does hurt.
Yeah, that is a bit of a loss for them there. That's going to set them back at least a few points off of the 4th place team. Menagerie Bad to the Bone was another one. Another, not I guess shocking. Bad to the Bone's been struggling a little bit here in the last few weeks, and Menagerie's been on the upswing with a win for them, 16-9. Avi did get back on the right side of the win versus Base Tank with the 3-2 win. 9 Eyebrows, huge sweep over Ego Waffle, and then Mata gets a win over Pasca. Dabs over A2 Battleship, the sweep there I think was probably the most shocking, but Manny Skull did at least pick up a win for Bad to the Bone with a 3-2 win over Smork. So yeah, Bad to the Bone, a team that is definitely fading a little bit. I know a preseason favorite to either win it all or at least contend, be a playoff team, and right now they're on the outside looking in. Still can't count them out yet, but Menagerie is the hotter team by far. So anybody who's been paying attention the last few weeks, not too surprised by the outcome, just by the names that are involved here. It did still seem like Bad to the Bone was probably favored. Unknown versus Propane Gang Icon. What happened in this one?
The Unknowns still putting up wins regardless of where they are. You know, they're just holding down that middle of the pack, making sure that they're doing well for themselves. You got Desharmo taking a 3-2 over Dr. Bomdi. I don't really know how to pronounce that. Solo Jazz taking a 3-1 over It's Me Mike V. Silent Red taking a win for PPG over Brushy Tuna, 3-1. Catman going 3-1 versus Town Drunk, and in the one of the most interesting matches of the week, Sage sweeping Ron Mexico in Pro.
Yeah, that was massive.
Is not a matchup that I would expect to go that way, given that Sage's Hearthstone play is fairly light, and Ron Mexico is an extremely good player. But I mean, anything can happen, I suppose. And hey, props to Sage, man. Like that's pretty significant for sure.
All right, our final game, Other Guys versus Defies Brotherhood, Lotus.
Well, this is mostly one of those games, as we said. Defies Brotherhood is at a point where, yeah, they're not as strong, and the other guys capitalize on it. Tony Montana 3-0s Cypher 0. Comp beats Dirty Mike, holding a few points for his team. Lefty 3-1s Epical Noise. Serlos 3-0 against Ekonami. And JR Jurlaw 3-1s Izanami. So overall, not really unexpected. The other guys still keep themselves in the game. But yeah, just a solid match. I think one interesting thing to note is that the bans are actually quite diverse in Pro. There's still a lot of Hunter ban, a lot of Priest ban, but there are bans everywhere. So something to think about if you're a Pro player.
Yeah, I think knowing exactly what archetype your opponent's bringing allows you to be very specific about your bans. It doesn't mean you have to say, I'm
Yes.
banning Hunter, just because I know there's so many possibilities of Hunter. You're only getting one flavor of it, obviously, and you know exactly what flavor it's going to be. So that is definitely helpful. And definitely a good point as far as pro is concerned, and the thought process behind some of the ban decisions.
Yeah,
All
I think
right.
there's also something to add about Priest, which they have this. Priest has this interesting effect because their deck is very extreme right now, in which you either target it or you ban it a lot of times.
Yeah, it is
So
being one of the solo archetype classes. Yeah, it is. I mean, there is quest res versus the res option, but it's not as big a difference as some other classes.
yeah, and just the win rates for the Priest deck is very. They're all very large both ways. You either lose hard or you win hard. So
Yep.
you don't really have as much middle ground as some decks like